Okay, this was the highlight of this episode for me. Just having this conversation with these are questions that I've had in my mind since I was a little boy. When we look at people with turbans, when we look at people with beards, I feel that Sikhs have a different understanding of it, and most of the outside world doesn't. So I'd love for you to highlight these outward elements of Sikhism. What does it actually represent?
First and foremost, it's really important to clarify that these things, the kirpan, the kara, the kesh, all of these things, these don't make you a Sikh. And it is not, a Sikh is somebody who has a turban on their head. A Sikh is not somebody who wears a kara. These are simply just spiritual reminders for a lifestyle. So I want a lot of people to understand that when I say the word Sikh, I don't mean a group of people from Punjab. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what a real Sikh is. A Sikh is not a Punjabi. They're not synonymous with each other. A Sikh is somebody who is willing to learn about their true self and willing to follow and practice all the things that are required to remember that this is all oneness. So a student of oneness is what we would define as a Sikh. Now, going back to where these sort of religious symbols or articles of faith, as some people describe them, where they come from, is these are really some of the practices that developed as the later gurus came in. So for those who are unaware, Guru Nanak was born in the 1400s, and he had 9 other successors, and the last one is the one that you've mentioned, Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And from about the time of the 5th and the 6th gurus, what we started to see was that there was a need for not just spiritual people, but spirituality and the warrior side of things to merge, because we were starting to see real oppression in India. So the 5th guru, some people may not be aware, is known as Guru Arjan Dev Ji. He was actually a martyr. So the Mughals actually assassinated him. He was tortured because they were trying so hard to convert the rest of India that they were just even going after the spiritual masters. So the 5th guru was tortured, and he was assassinated by the Mughal elite. His son, Guru Har Gobind Ji, took on the guruship next, and he decided that I can no longer just be a meditator. Now I have to be a meditator with a sword. And so as it goes on and on, you begin to see that then his son was the 9th guru, then his grandson, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, was the 10th guru. So you began to see that these gurus were now spiritual and warriors at the same time. So they were the ones who were actually going and fighting some of these battles. They weren't just sitting in the back saying, you guys go, I'll stay back here. They say, no, we have to be at the forefront. So these gurus became warriors and meditators. So they were trying to teach that this is what the society needs right now. This is what the world needs right now. We need to be both. And so in doing that, they created a code of conduct that if you are to live this lifestyle, there's a couple of things that you need to do. And they gave us what they call the 5 Ks, basically 5 religious symbols that were something that you have to keep with you all the time. But they were really 5 reminders of different ways, different practices that you need to hold on to. So the first one is kara, which you'll see every Sikh will wear a bangle around their hand. But all of these have very deep spiritual meaning. And actually, we could spend a lot of time, but I'll very quickly go through those. So why does a Sikh wear a kara? Well, for multiple reasons. Number one, it's round. So it has no beginning and ending. And this is a reminder to you that actually God is always there. There is always a oneness. So you have to kind of see this as a way of reminding you that no matter what you do, when we were kids, we were taught that, whatever, if you stick your hand out to do something wrong, the kara will be there as a reminder. And there are so many beautiful parts of this symbolism. You see, this is intrinsic in Indian culture, that whenever a student historically would go and take on a guru, even if they were like a music teacher, some sort of teacher, the teacher would initiate and say that I now accept you as my student, and they would wrap a string around their hand and say, I accept you as my student. So we see the kara as the guru saying, I accept you as my student. And this is basically why every Sikh or anybody who identifies as a Sikh, even if they don't wear anything else, they basically say, this is my symbol that I belong to this guru. that I belong to this school of thinking, and I'm allowing this teacher to influence my life and teach me how to live. And in that same way, we were given a kirpan, which we talked about, which was the sword. We were given kesh, and we were told that if you keep your hair completely intact, so some people are very surprised when they look at me and I tell them that I've never cut my hair from the day that I was born. So they ask, oh, how long is your hair? How long is your beard? All these sorts of questions come about. And again, these are just reminders. What is the purpose of keeping long hair? You'll begin to see all spiritual masters in all different traditions have a long hair. And there's something very beautiful about watching your hair grow, watching the color change. And it's again another reminder, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you realize I'm not in control of this body. This body has its own life cycle. This body is doing its own thing. So when you watch your own hair grow and you watch it turn gray, you begin to realize this body is going to go one day. This is not me. So it's all part of the spiritual training. So you've got your kada, your kirpan, and you've got your kesh. And then you've got your kanga. Kanga is a little comb that you wear at the back of your head. And that's just a reminder of cleanliness. Some people say that it's to do with having a clean and holistic lifestyle, that you're always reminding yourself that I have to be clean in the world. I have to allow myself to be presentable in such a way. I can't just be somebody that sits in the jungle and meditates. You know, Guru Nanak was invited many times to join the spiritual elite around the world. Every time he went and spoke to spiritual masters, the spiritual masters would ask Guru Nanak, what is happening in the world? And Guru Nanak's reply was, the world is burning and the people who can help are sitting up here on a mountain meditating. And Guru Nanak rejected this idea that you need to go sit in a mountain or be a monk in order to be spiritual. He said, I'm going to show you that I can have a job, I can have a wife, I can have children and still reach spiritual peak. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that's what normal people do. Normal people are doing this. So I need to show them, how do you be spiritual doing normal things? And that's what that Kanga represents, living a lifestyle where you're just carrying out your daily duties. And the final is a Kashera. Kashera is these briefs, these shorts that you wear underneath your clothing. And again, that's about self-restraint. Your Kashera is about, don't think that your life is just about trying to get as many relationships and sleep with as many partners. It's about having self-restraint and not thinking that life is all about going out there and just grabbing all the sensual experiences in the world. So all of these things are really practical reminders of how you can live your life, because there are so many instances in life where your mind does get tempted, your mind does go in the wrong directions, and you use these tools to remind you that this is not what I'm really here to achieve in life. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, the idea is you shouldn't see your own reflection. When you look in the mirror, you should see your guru's image. And when you see the guru in front of you, then you realize, oh, my life is about my guru. It's not about me. It's about my master teaching me how to really live, not about just me trying to figure out life in my own way. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have these things, that you're inferior in some way, or that you're not a good Sikh. Anybody from any background can be a Sikh. Guru Nanak's most beloved companion was somebody called Pai Mardana, who was a Muslim. So Guru Nanak and Pai Mardana traveled around the world for decades. And so his best friend was a Muslim. But you wouldn't call him a Muslim because he was also following Guru Nanak. So a Sikh is not somebody who is rejecting other religions and saying, I've given up other religions and I'm now going to only be a Sikh. That's not what Guru Nanak Sikhi is. You can be a Hindu who is following the Guru's tradition. You can be a Muslim who is following the Guru's tradition. And Guru Nanak went around the world and spoke to so many people. And he said, let me teach you what being a Muslim really means. And there are verses in his writings which are teaching people about how to do a namaz, how to do fasting properly. People are surprised that Guru Granth Sahib actually has this sort of information. And it teaches people from the Hindu traditions. This is how you really look at Krishna. This is what Shiva really means. This is how you celebrate Holi. And it's all about how do you use all of these as opportunities to understand your mindset. And all of these, they go back to, don't worry about the external. The external doesn't define who a Sikh is. These things do not define who a Sikh is. A Sikh is completely defined by the person who sorted out his own mind and sorted out his mindset.
Wow. Okay, this was the highlight of this episode for me. Just having this conversation with these are questions that I've had in my mind since I was a little boy.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you benefited from that. If you'd like to help us create more spiritual content, then head over to our website nanaknaam.org/donate and think about setting up a regular monthly donation. We're a 100% non-profit organization, so all the donations that you give us go directly into the charity and that help us to create and share Gurmat spiritual wisdom.